Today I'm giving you my 12-week update after my bilateral mastectomy. So it's been 12 weeks since my bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction following a breast cancer diagnosis. Thank you so much to all of you who have sent kind messages and emails. I am so grateful. And if you're wondering about some context or some other things around this story, I do have videos about how I was diagnosed, and I have a video on post-mastectomy exercise as well, so you can look for those. And I also wanted to let you know that if you want a deeper dive into this 12-week kind of review, I am releasing a podcast April 17th, 2024 on my Meet Your Body podcast. And I'm doing a really deep dive and answering all of your questions around this, including how I was diagnosed, if I had any symptoms before, what treatment looks like, how I chose implants, everything. So you can go, and I'll have the link below. It's on my Meet Your Body podcast, and that episode's coming out on April 17th, 2024. So I'll give you my update about where I am now that it's been 12 weeks. And again, as a quick backstory, a few months ago, I went in for my regular mammogram. It came back abnormal. I had a biopsy, and it came back positive for breast cancer. I had no symptoms prior to that, so it was absolutely found on mammogram. And about 6 weeks after the diagnosis, I had a bilateral mastectomy along with reconstruction during the same surgery. And again, in that podcast episode, I'm going to dive into all of that about why I had a bilateral mastectomy versus just a lumpectomy, why I made the choices I did, all of that. But how am I now at 12 weeks? So I want to make this video mostly for any of you out there going through this so that you can know what to expect afterwards. I can tell you personally, even as a physical therapist for 25 years, a women's health expert, I know the body, and I had no idea what to expect after this surgery. If you are in this place right now, I want to give you a big hug right through this screen. I know it is hard. I know it is scary. I know it is so confusing. You have to make choices so fast without having all the information because you were giving a diagnosis you never wanted to have. You have to choose between one bad option and another bad option because you have to do what's right in the moment. And that can be a really hard thing. So again, I'm giving you a big virtual hug right now. And again, you can go back to some of my videos. I have some about where I was even around 4 weeks and 2 weeks post-op. But here we are at 12 weeks. So to give you a review, at 2 weeks, I had the drains removed. That is a really, really big step for anyone after a mastectomy, is having those drains removed. And then now here I am at 12 weeks. So I actually saw my plastic surgeon yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that I came to you after a full 12-week meeting with her. She removed all my restrictions. So at 12 weeks for me, and again, we're all going to be different, all right? It depends on the surgery you had and your surgeon and what was done. I, again, had a bilateral mastectomy straight to implant, so straight to reconstruction. I did not have expanders or anything like that, and it was bilateral, so both sides. So as of 12 weeks, I am allowed to do whatever physical activity I want to do. The only restriction I have actually is no hot tubs. That's my surgeon's choice. She doesn't love hot tubs after mastectomy, so that'll be a few more months. But otherwise, I am allowed now to do whatever exercise I want. I am allowed to wear regular bras. So I've been wearing compression bras this entire time. So I am allowed to wear regular bras, no underwire, but any other bra I want. And I am allowed to try sleeping on my side if I want, because I've only been allowed to sleep on my back. So that's where I am with what I'm allowed to do, okay? I'll also tell you now how I'm actually feeling. How I'm feeling is a very nuanced answer, and it really depends on what time of day you ask me that question and what day in general you ask me that question. There are times that I feel pretty good, that I feel strong, that I feel hopeful about being able to do what I want to do. And there are times, to be honest, that I don't. There are times I still feel really, really tired. There are times that I still have pain. There are times that I get lightning bolts from the nerves waking up. All of that is normal. All of that is completely normal. And there are times that I honestly just wish this never would have happened. And I am telling you that from a really honest, vulnerable place. And my oncologist was lovely when I met with her a few months ago to make sure that I knew that this healing process was going to be ongoing. Because when we are diagnosed, we are thrown into the physical aspect of it. What does treatment look like? Here are all the tests that need to be done really fast. What stage are you? What grade are you? All of those things that can feel like kind of a fog and a whirlwind of questions to ask and things to get answered and decisions to make. And it's all very physical. And it needs to be. We need to get our health in order, right? We need to follow those instructions and do what needs to be done. She was lovely a few months ago to make sure I knew that part might be done. You're working towards healing that part. The emotions are going to come. She said they probably haven't yet, and they are going to, and you need to be ready for them. And whatever that means for you, to be ready for them, but they will come. And she is right. And they still come in waves sometimes. So I can tell you that I know that that's going to be an ongoing part of the journey. So physically, how do I feel? Like I said, it kind of depends what day you ask me, but overall, I am so much better than I was 4 weeks ago, and definitely so much better than I was 8 weeks ago. So if you're watching this, and if you just had your drains out, or if you still have those drains, or you're 4 weeks after, I promise you, it gets better. I absolutely promise you it gets better. And I don't know if I believed that 8 weeks ago. I had a lot of hypersensitivity from the nerves starting to regenerate, a lot. And I was in extreme pain most of the day. And that has gotten so much better. It's still there some, but it's manageable. And I know it's going to continue to improve. Like I said, I have little lightning bolts. That's normal as the nerves regenerate also. I did have nerve grafting done, and so that's completely normal, and that comes and goes. When it comes to strength, I am walking a lot. So I love walking. I'm walking a lot. I'm back to Pilates, not at all the level I was at, but I'm working towards it. I am doing weights. So at this point, I can do about 10 pounds of overhead press. I can do 10-pound dumbbells of a bicep curl. I can do some squats. I just have to be really slow and mindful of it, but I'm definitely back to doing that stuff. And to be honest, I am fearful of movement sometimes. I have not moved in a long time. This is a body I don't know yet. I really don't. I don't know what it can and can't do. And it's a little scary. I also know I have some real goals. I want to get back to where I was. I want to be able to lift my son. He's still young. I want to be able to lift him and feel safe and play with my kids. And I know that I have to step by step get back to that. I can't just keep doing nothing and then jump to that. So I am very aware of that every day, of making sure that I am moving and taking the steps needed, both with dumbbells and, like I said, walking and all of that. I was not a runner beforehand. So if you're a runner watching this, wondering if you can run, I was told that I could, but I have no desire to do that at this point. I wasn't a runner beforehand. I want to get back to trail runs, but with our weather here, it's going to be 2 months before I can do that. So I'll keep you updated on that one. But the rest of movement is coming slowly but surely. There are some things that are still really hard that surprise me. It's still hard to open jars. That was really hard at I couldn't even do it at the beginning. Medicine bottles, anything like with the childproof lid where you have to push down and turn, really hard, almost impossible. I can do it a little bit now, but that's still hard. Opening car doors and opening heavy just doors is really hard. Like I said, opening jars. So some of those movements that surprise me are hard. I have not even attempted a push-up. I think it's going to be a little while before I do that. I also want to talk to you about something called cording, because again, this was not on my radar whatsoever. I didn't know anything about it until I got it and had to research it. And so in case it's something that's affecting you, I first noticed my cording probably about 2 weeks after surgery. Again, when the drains came out and I was starting to be able to wash under here a little bit, and I felt it and I had to look it up, and I said, I think that might be cording. So cording is something that happens on the side where the lymph node is removed. I did not have lymph node involvement, but I did have to have the sentinel node biopsy during surgery. They remove a lymph node to test it to see if you do have lymph node involvement. I was very lucky it was negative, but I did have a lymph node removed. That puts a lot of stress on your lymphatic system. And for unknown reasons, science doesn't really understand why it happens, but you can get something called cording, which is, they're like guitar strings up here. And for a long time, I could see them in my armpit. I felt like 5 or 6 of them. And then they started running down into my forearm and into my wrist. And so I had that for a while. And again, that was an overload of my lymphatic system. That is still there. And I have to work on it every day. I do specialized massage on it. I see a breast cancer rehab physical therapist to help me with it. I wear a compression sleeve anytime I work out or go for walks. So I do things to help with that. But again, if you have that, don't be surprised. I've been told it does go away with time, but also, like I said, I have to be careful to manage it as well. So there are tools to help, is what I want you to know. If you have that cording or symptoms of cording, make sure that you're seeing a breast cancer rehab physical therapist, someone who specializes in that. Possibly talk to them about a compression sleeve and some massage and techniques that you can do for that at home. And I will say this 12-week point is kind of a surreal place to be. I was in a fog for a long, long time around the diagnosis and then after surgery and trying to heal. And I had this 12-week mark as like a big mark on my calendar on something I was looking forward to, because I knew a lot of things around my restrictions would change, which they do. A lot of things do change for most of us. Like I said, with my surgeon, I was pretty much released to what I want to do, and I won't see her again for 3 months. On the other side, I don't suddenly feel all that different than I did 2 days ago. I'm still kind of scared about what's going on with my body. I don't know my body that well. Half of it's numb, so I don't feel it all that much. I am still in a place of fog after surgery and I had some complications I had to deal with and anesthesia. And at the same time, I am very hopeful knowing that this is kind of the first day on the next stage of healing. So that is really what I want you to know if you're in this place, that no one expects you to suddenly be okay. No one expects you to suddenly be able to do what you could do before. You do still have a lot of healing. As a physical therapist, I tell everyone who has surgery, it takes a year. It takes a year after any surgery for the dust to settle and for you to kind of know where you're at. So I still have a long way to go. At the same time, there is a lot of hope and a lot of promise, knowing now I can start to do things without being so afraid of doing it, that my body is really at a place that I can assimilate what I'm doing, that I can get back to some of my pre-surgery things. And it is very intentional every day. It doesn't feel natural yet, but it is intentional, and it's a step that I'm gonna take every single day to get back to where I was before. And finally, about further treatment, I again was extremely lucky. I had a very, very large tumor, and it was all removed by mastectomy, and my lymph nodes were clear. So all follow-up testing has shown that I do not have cancer in my body anymore at this point. So because of the mastectomy choice, I do not have to have radiation, and I do not have to be on any kind of tamoxifen or anything like that, any treatment. And again, that was because of the mastectomy, plus the fact that I was very lucky that my lymph nodes were clear and all other tissues were clear. And so that is why I am just seeing my doctors and my oncologist for the next 5 years regularly for follow-up, but I don't have any other treatment that I am doing right now. Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for supporting me on this journey that I never saw coming. And I know if you're here with me on the same journey, you're in the same boat. We don't ever see this coming. It comes out of left field and it will throw us for a loop. And also, you are strong, you are not alone, and you can do this. I promise. I'll talk to you soon.